too late.
But, Dad was really firm at the supper table that, there'd be no cutting the cheese. So, so if somebody did that, you had to sit on the cellar steps. And for some reason, I remember Dean would be in the cellar steps one moment, but then he'd go down through the cellar, come up out the other thing, and make faces in the window. I remember. I'm sure we all had our turns there. Pouring the water over your eyes. So, anyways, yeah. So somebody else. All
right. You always told the story with that about peas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's not about that.
No. The story you gave at Dan's funeral about your boy, your brothers.
Oh, that was a poem. That was a poem, yeah.
You remember?
I have it written down, but
Not on the promise.
I don't have that too close.
Dan wrote it, Doug wrote it. Dean wrote a poem too.
Dean wrote a poem.
Which one? We all wrote that thing for your anniversary together, the Gettysburg Address.
What's this?
The Gettysburg Address thing that we did for your anniversary. We changed the words.
Four score, do you remember that?
Yeah, it wasn't four scores.
Oh, yeah. We have that actually written up.
Yeah, that was.
I think.
A score is 20 years.
Devin College.
Oh.
There's 100 if you four scored 10 years.
Well, one of the things I just want to say, and it's real short, but
Four scored 10 years. Go great.
just in being raised in large families, sometimes you don't get the alone times. That is just facts of life. But I remember being in college in Colorado and just going through a very hard time, missing family, obviously, and it was back then where there was no iPhones, there was no text, there was no Facebook, there was no, and phone calls were expensive, so you had saved your money if you were going to call long distance. And so I didn't get very many phone calls in college, and I remember getting on the phone one time and being so discouraged, and I said to Mother, why can't I just talk to my dad? It's always you. Does Dad, I just want to talk to my dad. And you got him on the phone, and in a matter of a couple days, he flew out to see me, and it was just Dad and I for 3 days, and we traveled all over Colorado together. And I will never forget that, Dad, because I knew you were very busy on the farm, and there was other kids in the family, but at that moment when I was in crisis and needed you, because it was just a hard time in college, and you were there for me, and thank you.
Sue, do you remember the time that you were working at this National Car Rental?
Yeah.
You and your friend,
Sherry.
and the guy from our area was out there hunting, and you two girls were talking about shoe fly fire. This guy overheard you and he said, "These girls must be from Lancaster County." And you told him, and he stopped by and let me know that that's you.
So where did you go to college?
It's called Mesa University now. It's just a local college in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Okay, so
Part of
you
the
live in
Colorado
Grand
school
Junction.
system.
Okay.
And who was the guy you stayed with? What was his name?
Woodfell.
Jess Campbell, but I was also with the Woods family.
But Dad met the Campbells, I think. He traveled with them?
Yes. That's right.
I don't remember that.
I remember a time when I was in YWAM overseas, and Mother told me, and I was discouraged one time, and Mother said, Dad was praying for you. This was after the fact. I mean, she didn't know that I was discouraged. So, anyway, that was really neat. That was encouraging at the time.
There reminds me of I was trying to think of your qualities, Dad, and kind of narrowing it down to one that I remember as significant. I was thinking, you're mentioning of Dad praying. I think that's one of them. I remember the last number of years just praying for. I told Dad at supper table something that happened in a counseling session the other day, and the response of the person was just kind of an unusual thing that the Lord had done. And Dad just mentioned, I pray for your sessions, and I thought, just reminded again, it's amazing the gift that is. So that wasn't the thing that came to mind, and it wasn't your generosity that came to mind. But I think we've all been a recipient of your generosity over the years, just a generous heart. Mom was telling me the other year, gave away into missions huge amounts of money. 15 different people that your missions, ministries. And so just, that's we think, well, Dad's just generous, but that's an unusual trait. It's a just beautiful reflection of the kingdom. The thing that I remember, or a thing that kind of stands out to me, is courage. And I'm not sure why I thought of this, but just thinking back over your life and thinking the time, I guess, Joe, you went into farming, you were going to do dairy, and the courage to switch the whole farm over to dairy and 150 cows. And it seemed crazy to me at the time. Well, I was a teenager, but the courage to.
I couldn't put my hearing aids in.
Okay, yeah. And I forgot my vocal amplification too. Sorry. And yeah, so, but just the courage to do something large like that, and it's very seldom, as I think back on our history, you made decisions like that unwisely, or that they, and so I think just the courage, just a number of, I think in 80s or something, weren't you doing wheat, grain kind of money market kind of things? You're using the market to enlarge financial, to me, I had no idea what that was about and didn't understand it, but you had the courage to go into those areas. So, but just in a lot of ways, I think just to me, I just reflect on the courage to do things that, to me, I think I grew up with a courage or confidence to I think it was a trait passed on to us as children, a courage to be able to do things. Sometimes it drives the spouses of the Hesses crazy, probably. I know it does Rosemary, but I need to balance that with her wisdom too. But so yeah, just thank you, Dad. Probably a lot more that we'll think about in the days to come. But thanks for passing those things on to us.
I'll tell you, I made a lot of mistakes.
Did you?
I started the dairy business.
But I don't know where
You what?
I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned by them, try to learn by them.
That's good.
Like I said before, I could have been born in Africa like a pig.
Yeah.
God is blessed us with generosity, with the ability to help others.
Yeah.
It's His doing.
And I think every one of us could have been born in another family too, but the Lord saw to it, and part of honoring our parents is honoring parents. No parents that are mistake-free, but we honor you, and we honor you because we're your children, and because we want to live long in the land too. We all
The first commandment with a promise.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I know.
because your days
Our number?
Oh, okay. My family is a small family. My sister and I are two, but my mother was an only child, and my dad had one sister, and she's a school teacher. She never married. So my sister and I have no first cousins at all. And I married into this family.
And the cows get out.
And it's amazing to me that with all the family you have, that your hearts are so big that you brought in many other people to your home. So Rachel and I got married in July of '82, and I'm thinking 2 weeks before was July 4th, the Hess reunion, and to get a family picture, they rented bleachers. And that year it was at Penryn Park, near Bumberger's store. And I think, what family needs bleachers for a family picture? And it was really wild. But what I didn't know at the time of the wedding, not only do you have a big family, but you also open up your arms to many others. And so you'd get phone calls from people that you knew a little bit, and they'd say, we found somebody and they need a place to stay. And the answer was yes, that you would give. So Rachel and I went away for a honeymoon for a week, and we came home and you had somebody we'd never heard of living in your house. And I looked at Rachel, and I forget what your response was, but it was like, yes, this happens. And Don was still at home, and Dean was before he moved in with you and Donna Weaver.
Oh, okay.
So Dean was at home, and Dan, and then you've got other people coming in, and then there was a Muslim from Kenya who fixes cars, and then there was Dave Schenk who sold cars, and there's other people as well. One time we came home from church. We came to your house after supper, or after church, to have Sunday dinner. We were invited, and I sat next to Juan Carlos Ortiz. Because somebody called you up and said, hey, could you have a special guest for Sunday dinner? So your hearts, it's already been shared that you've been very generous with missionaries, but just your own home as well. So that it's not just giving of money, but it's always been giving yourselves. And finally, this is not about you, Dad, but you're a beneficiary. Mother, I never ate dinner anywhere in my life where there was like 5 different desserts to choose from.
That flew out the window.
Well, Debbie's got a tape. Debbie's got an answering machine tape that you might think it's flown out the window, but that's still in you. So, thank you.
Explain, Debbie. Explain.
Yeah, I
Explain.
forgot.
I'll explain it.
We have an ice cream.
The most famous of our guests became an adoptee
Yeah.
in the final edition of The Sons.
I'll explain that.
Last but not least.
The tape. So we were coming up from somewhere, maybe it was a couple years ago when we were coming up from the south, but I called home and Mother says, well, just be sure to know that I have food enough for you guys when you stop in. And then she had to record it because I wasn't on the phone, so
She
she
wanted to
recorded
make sure that you came.
it. That we'd stop in,
And
right?
yeah,
There
there's
was
plenty
no-
of food, don't worry.
There's plenty of food, don't worry. I have 10 pounds of hamburger. I have like 5 pounds of hot dogs. I have 5 trout. I have 7 steaks. I have
There's fish.
6 gallons of ice cream, or
She
maybe.
explained the fish that she had too.
It
Trout, like
went on
trout.
and on and on. All it's like more than desserts and everything that's in the freezer, so I would know that it was.
Please come and eat.
Oh, yes.
But what do you do when your husband at first, when you're first married, and he just all the time invites people in, and then after a while I see he's not here anymore, he goes to bed. Are you sad at that? She's saying the busy years.
Then we get that, she was left alone.
What do you do when we go to the cattleman's reunion and he tells somebody from Indiana or Ohio that, or they tell him they're gonna take a trip to Washington D.C. and he says, oh, come and we'll keep you up for the night. Maybe if you go by, stop at our house, we'll keep you overnight. Well, he didn't tell me about this. I don't think. Anyway, they had 8 children.
You become innovative, and you become,
You know not to close the door.
yeah, so you learn to be prepared. That's why you have freezers.
We had a big living room floor. How about the time all them wirewheelers came to our
Oh,
house?
my.
They were on everything.
In '76, we had 20
Yeah.
coming from Texas, and the boys stayed out in the yard, I think.
They camped out?
They had sleeping bags, it was summer, July, and the girls were in the house. But we had 20 girls inside and 20 boys outside.
What do you eat for breakfast?
I don't know, don't ask me how it happened. But, yeah, you kind of learn to keep things on hand.
Yes. Well, you did a good job.
I just want to say a couple things. I could share some stories, I'm sure, but I wanted to share the traits that I appreciate. There's a lot of traits, but I appreciate you, Dad. Your gentleness and kindness. And there's a proverb that says, the desire in man is his kindness. And it's, I think I've appreciated a lot more, you know, it's natural, but I've appreciated a lot more when I left home in the years, you know, even, you know, 10, 15, 20 years after I left home and was married and all. And just, I can think of instances where I was, I'll say, out of the way. I wasn't thinking right. And I would hear your response to me, Dad, and it was so gentle that it's like I didn't catch it at the time. And I'd go home and I think of what he said, and then I'd say, yeah. And it was not a, you know, my personality is I gotta set you straight. And you didn't do that at all to me. And just in your gentle way, in your wise way. Appreciate that very much. Love you, Dad.
I don't have a memory to share, but, you know, since my sister pushed me into it. I think, if I recall correctly, this poem is an old favorite, maybe? But at any rate, I think it's appropriate given who we're celebrating. It's called A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So hopefully I can do it justice. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act, that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, howe'er pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate. Still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait.
Thank you. Thank you.
Christie, did you hear Gretel say that's a favor?
I thought we had talked about it. Yes, pretty sure.
I thought I needed to just give tribute to Dad. I being, some 45 years ago, got to know Debbie at EMU, and a relationship began, and I remember that she had probably, a couple months to graduate, and that is from college, and I come along, and at the time I felt like I was had a mission, and right or wrong, whatever that is, I just want to attribute to Dad his unconditional love, because he's allowed me to really experience the richness of who he is, and I just learned to respect you, Dad, a great deal, and I've been blessed and multiplied in that way by receiving Debbie and even listening to the stories today. I'm just grateful for and I want to say that what I want to give tribute to is for the unconditional love that you show and continue to show to my children and my grandchildren. I can see it, it's evident to me. And thank you for showing that kind of love.
Thank you.
You come up there. I just need to say a few words too. I have the privilege of working with Dad all of my adult life, pretty much. And then I got married, and I had interest in dairy, interest in farming, and Dad might even remember the details better than me, but we were 19, early 20s as we started out, and we were engaged. We were both 19, and Dad said I wanted a farm, and a dairy farm, and Dad said, can we get renting a farm somewhere? And then just as I don't remember working through that hardly at all, and he came back and said, maybe it'd be a good thing for, we have younger brothers, and so I guess I'm at fault for where that all came from. But I think, but working with Dad, I've over the years seen a lot of family businesses where families work together, and they're not all that great sometimes. And we had to work through things, but I don't have any strong memories where we really locked horns. I don't know, maybe you do with me, but I feel very good about the years we spent together, and I really appreciate what I've learned and working with you. And you're giving many things were mentioned here, but they are things that have stuck with all of us. But in a business sense, it's really been precious to me to be able to look back at those years and say, boy, thanks for the wealth of just the benefit of working together, and an example of Christ in you. Obviously, we're here to honor you, and you would say, well, it's not about me, and that's true. But that's where all of us need to be. It's not about us in life. It's about the examples we are and what we pass on. So thank you for what you passed on.
For a successful marriage, you have to have a successful wife.
That's right.
He's saying that because he's trying to get.
Just accept
Mrs. Reeves, some of you probably heard this, but Mrs. Reeves, she taught them all.
What's she like?
In Mom and Dad's 60th anniversary party, 60th anniversary party, I was sitting right behind Ned Reeves' wife and his daughter. And
Was she living there?
Mom was up front sharing, and she said, you know, the first 13 years of our marriage, I thought Dad was perfect. And Mrs. Reeves, as loud as you could hear, says, oh my, she must have been blind. There ain't no perfect man.
That's the naked truth. That's the naked truth.
Yeah, that was partly true because I had no brothers and my dad was away a lot of the time, so, you know, it was perfect. And my mother, she would, when he come home, she'd have the house all cleaned up and she'd have the best meals of all week. And so that's what I thought she'd do.
Well, her mother thought a lot of it too.
Oh, yes.
I do remember that.
I tell
Yeah, Grandma
other
would-
people.
She always kissed me when she came to see me.
Is that right? It'd make your wife jealous.
But she also told everybody that he's her favorite son-in-law.
Keep trouble that way.
Keep that a family.
Anybody else? I don't wanna stop.
No, I don't know what to say. I can't go back to 1972. Not right now.
This is too good, she doesn't want to leave.
So, I remember the first time, Dean, I was at Bruce and Rachel's house in New York, and I was first introduced to Dad, and one of the things that, I remember just so clearly is just how welcome I felt, and that meant a lot to me. I just a little while ago, I was just writing, and was going through a little bit, just some trials, and I started to just ponder, that when I married Dean, I didn't realize that I was getting a dad too. And so growing up, my mom was so big in my life that I didn't feel like I missed out, on a dad. I just didn't even know what that was. And then when I went through some really difficulties with Dean being sick, I just realized for the first time Dad was there every step of the way, and I, with his prayers, or I shared with a few of you just how it became so commonplace in our home that our kids knew, that how much you prayed for us, just in some of the most critical times. Those calls to our home just meant so much and had such an impact that, it just became like right at the time we needed encouragement, or we needed you most, you called. And we just really felt like that you were just so in touch with God that you just knew in those times, and and, and just the impact that you had in, Mother, one time you told me that Dad was praying 15 minutes of every hour of the day for Dane, and that was like a real critical time of the turnaround, and God really answered your prayers for us, and we've and just having just realizing that that I have a spiritual father and an earthly father that is, I used to hear people say that, and it used to always just kind of turn me, like I didn't like that when people call people their fathers that aren't their fathers, or different things, but now I really understand it, and just want to thank you for that.
Okay. I'm sure there's more things that can be said, and Dad's birthday is not till the 20th, so we've got lots of time to call him and share more things as they come to mind. This is, I'm told, one of your favorite songs, is that right? Come We That Love the Lord. So we're going to sing it a cappella, because that's the hymn saying that's how we were brought up, right? So let's see if we can get the right key. Come we that love the Lord, and let our joys be known. Join in a song with sweet accord, join in a song with sweet accord, and thus surround the throne, and thus surround the throne. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, that beautiful city of God. Let those refuse to sing who never knew our God, but children of the heavenly King, but children of the heavenly King, may speak their joys abroad, may speak their joys abroad. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, that beautiful city of God. The hills of Zion yields 1,000 sacred sweets. Before we reach the heavenly fields, before we reach the heavenly fields, or walk the golden streets, or walk the golden streets. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, that beautiful city of God. Then let our songs abound, and every tear be dried. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground, to fairer worlds on high, to fairer worlds on high. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, that beautiful city of God. Dean, could you close this in prayer?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Father, for given us this day. Thank you for giving each of us each day of our lives. We thank you again for the blessing of Dad's life to each of us. And we just pray, Lord, that you continue to bring blessing to him these coming days. Keep him, spirit, soul, and body, Lord God. We just thank you. Thank you for your blessings surpass us. They take over us. They overtake us as we come to know you, as we